in the right context, in the right experience, something happens that your body remembers, and there's still a little something left that then responds to the current experience.
Welcome to the Web of Life podcast. I'm your host, Cody Alexander. I'm a Spirit Bridge Practitioner and a minister in training with Web of Life Animist Church. This podcast is intended as an introduction for you, our listener, to the practice of spirit bridging. These episodes are small groupings of the stories revealed through the journeys of our spirit bridges that all share common themes, or points of focus of the journeyer, which are offered to you as an opportunity for you to see how they can apply to your own life. Today, we'll hear from two of our spirit bridges, as well as some insights from the church founder Quinn Red Mountain. Our journeys today have themes of making yourself whole, colors, ancestral allies, and a bit about how our pets and animal companions can respond to us while we engage in deep inner work. After we hear our stories, I've included a short recording of a singing bowl and some chimes as an opportunity for you to reflect on how these stories were relevant for you. Alternatively, you could also use the sounds as a way to relax and settle into yourself and into the space that you're in right now. However you choose to use the sound is up to you. There's no wrong way to do it. After that, we'll hear some more words from Quinn, sharing their insights on soul wounds and soul retrieval or restoration. As you listen, do your best to keep some awareness on the words being spoken and to allow the imagery presented to play out in your mind. You might even close your eyes if it is safe for you to do so at this time. Breathe slowly and deeply, and notice how you feel in your body as certain words are spoken. Notice any thoughts or feelings that come up for you in response to the things being said and any imagery that's illustrated here. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest. We wish you well on your journey.
My cat was particularly disruptive during this experience. I've never had an issue with that before, but she came and stood right at my head and was crying really loudly, trying to come snuggle up under the blanket with me. And then she kept doing it. She would come in and then go out and come in and go out. And then there was a point where she was trying to get out and she like pressed her face right up against my face. And I can still feel this little like ticklish spot. You know, I don't know if there's meaning in that or not, that she just was particularly vocal and all over me during that time. I did have some faint impressions of things, but it was hard to get settled into the space. What really stuck with me though was an image of a big cauldron and the stars and the universe inside, and then like my hand stirring that pot, mixing all these bits into one big soup together. That moved into me cooking over a stove, putting a lot of care into what I was cooking, and then inviting all of those sort of fractured or stuck versions of myself from the past to this really warming, home-cooked, loving meal. That just like reminds me of the way that my grandmother would have taken care of me. And it felt like there was an imperative there of, yeah, you need to start inviting some of these fractured selves home for dinner and just putting a lot of love into the meal and inviting them to be your house guest and just using that sort of loving, nurturing as a way to integrate. I feel like I've done a lot of work with my trauma, and I notice that a lot of times when this topic comes up, I want to say, oh, well, I don't really need that anymore. I'm good now. Then when I do journeys like this, I do see these flashes of places where there was a lot of energy. And the reality is that a lot of my life was filled with traumatic experiences, physical traumas, as well as the emotional ones. And so I think I just need to let go of some of this idea of, even though I'm functioning now, it's not to say that there might not be places in me that could benefit from just more love, more compassion, more attention, and more effort on my part.
Yeah. And the thing about these, like the bubbling, something bubbling up to the surface, is it's usually when, okay, you've done a big house cleaning, right? You've worked with parts, you've worked with past traumas, then I find that what activates something that maybe I'll say we might have thought, oh, I thought I was over that, or I thought I dealt with that, is when something happens in our life that activates it. So let's say around partnership, or around when something goes south with someone else, depending on who the person is, and it goes a certain way and it feels familiar, or like someone new coming into your life, or things like that, like unexpected, where then it just activates something. You thought, dang, I thought I was done with that crap. And so to always be on the lookout for those, because that can go for many years, right? In the right context, in the right experience, something happens that your body remembers, and there's still a little something left that then responds to the current experience. And I would say the way to know that that is happening for you, for any of us or others, to recognize it in others, is when there's some kind of response that feels to something that occurs that feels more complicated, or wow, I had a big reaction to that, when really this thing that happened in the now, even I'd think, well, that wasn't that big of a deal, but the response was huge. That could be an indicator that there's still some residue there of some time when something similar happened in the past that has not been settled. And how I talk about it sometimes now is that maybe it's not even the you now that is having the reaction. It's a younger you that's like, no way, or this scares me, or, and you thought, well, I thought that part of me was tended. And maybe there will always be certain things that activate that part in ourselves, and that it's not a failure in our healing, but we can regulate the response or catch it sooner, or not dive down into some big, deep, dark pit about it. But we could still recognize, oh, wow, I still get a little edgy around that, or I have a reaction to that. And the I might be the younger part of ourself that actually went through the thing in the past. So that's something to keep in mind, as well as an indicator of, oh, there's something from the past operating here.
I wrote it down because it was nice for me. It was an amazing, so I said, I felt so calm and peaceful during this one. And as soon as we went in after, like, I just spoke, whoever wants to come, please come. I had no intention really. And the Tom Petty song, Free Falling, came in my head. And I'm a music person. Like, for me, music, they speak to me. So that played, Free Falling played for quite a bit in this journey for me. I don't know how many minutes, but it felt like a long time. It just, free falling, and it's like, just not, you're free kind of thing. That's how I feel. There was an image in midair, and I was surrounded by these white feathers, white bird feathers or something. It was so cool. It was just nice. And then there was an image of my ex-husband that came in, and I was like, well, I'm feeling peaceful. I don't want this. So my ally Bubby came in and she karate chopped him out of the way. I'm like, thank you, Bubby, for your protection. I was like, I'm having a good time here. I don't need this. She got him out of the way. I'm like, thank you. So I just felt a lot of protection and love from her that I really appreciated. And I was just like, I was enjoying the peacefulness of the chimes. Then at some point, there was like huge activation in my crown chakra. Like, I really felt like a bolt of light really piercing in, going towards my throat chakra as well. Felt like as if pouring in of love. And then a friend of mine flashed in. So that means I think, and I know there's something going on. She's hinted at it. So I'm going to check up on her and see if she needs an ear or something like that. I continued on like a serene path. It was like all this white pink cloud, kind of like walking on clouds, as if you're in the airplane, but like you're in the clouds of the airplane or whatever, something like that. It felt like, it felt good. And I got a message, something about writing a book. I was like, oh, okay, we'll get there maybe. It's been on my mind for years and years, but we'll see. And there was like a lot of, for me, yellow hues of lights and serenity and peacefulness. And it was a very loving journey, I must say. One of the calmest ones I've had, because often when you ask us to journey things like this, I'm like getting killed or killing somebody or seeing serpents.
Right.
So I appreciate this today because I'm a little tired this week. So
Mm-hmm.
it did me good.
Good.
Go
And
ahead.
someone came to help you out. So that's good.
Yes, yes. My grandmother, I refer to her often. She's like an ancestor of mine. I
That's
needed
good to hear.
her to get rid of my husband, that's for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I would like to put some ideas in your head for you to ponder, work with. This isn't like homework. These are things, ideas around soul retrieving or bringing back, right? So retrieving, bringing back. That's what this particular action is. When is it that someone needs something brought back to them? And it might be because of losing it. It might be because of someone set it down, like outcast it or said, I don't want you anymore. Sometimes that happens, that we do it ourselves because we decide this part of me is bad, usually from others, right? But that there is an action that we did ourselves for whatever reason, that we set something down, we set a part of us down, or throw it away, or put it in a box in the back of our inner closet, right? Something like that. And then there's things that, let's say, quick physical traumas, car accident, like things that are unexpected. Sometimes there could be that jolt and it's kind of a scared taking off, leaving, going to hide, running away. There's that version. There is also a whole set of potentials when there is a phase that's longer, like when there's no getting away. So when someone goes through an era in their life, including their entire childhood, maybe their entire lives, maybe for 6 months or a year or 10 years in a marriage or in a relationship, that there doesn't seem to be a way out of at the time. But there is that experience of that, okay, this is going to be for the long haul, and that there's a part of us that then we adapt in a way to get through it, which is its own type of, whether it's numbing or suppressing, or right, like if anger doesn't work to change it, then we sometimes stuff our anger, right? We just tamp it down. That there's those kinds of situations where there's multiple things going on, whether there's physical challenge or trauma, danger, emotional, mental, but that it's not just acute, it's more chronic for however long, right? And a lot of times for folks, the patterns that are set up in childhood that also extend back ancestrally, then sometimes we, as we get older, the pattern continues, right? We might draw someone that's just like a parent, right? Or have that tendency. And so then that has its own different needs. Then there's the kind that maybe does still involve someone else, someone who has been holding on to a part of our power out of spite or out of wanting to draw energy off of us. That there's that kind of experience where there's abuse from somebody else. And then there are things like what might be called spells or curses that go down through the generations. One might think of it as patterns of behavior and belief that can feel big and also so ingrained in us that then we think, well, this is life. This is the way it is. We don't even know that there's possibility for anything different. Those can be tricky in their own way. So as I'm going on about these different types of scenarios, I'm not going to go into right now, okay, in this situation, you do this to fix it. In this situation, you do that to fix it. I'm not promising or telling you like the magic fix, but more like pecking away at it, approaching it, doing something that could assist, lighten the load, bring back a little bit more power from someone, a part of us that has been missing or kept or hiding, that then we can hopefully make some different changes or different decisions, think a little differently, build on a small success. Because almost all of these experiences, I mean, unless like someone's life is perfect, there's no trauma, and then something happens, a car crash or a hurricane, right? That's very traumatic in its own very blustery, like one-time experience way. Someone's mugged or someone goes to war and but that's more extended. So even that is a little different. That then someone has that one experience to work with, that one experience to tend and heal. Most people, that's not the case. Most people, we have had traumas and challenges earlier in our life. So they get a little bit woven together or bundled together. Or maybe they're feeding off of previous times, right? So my point is, it took quite a while for things to get the way they are. And another thing that we have to remember and consider is that in cultures where the people have understood that trauma creates soul loss or soul wounds, and that we need to work with it, we need to tend to that level of it as well, more close to the time when it happened. That is one belief system, but generally the way that we've grown up, there was no talk of that. I mean, now there's at least more understanding about how trauma affects people on all levels. But when any of us were growing up, no, suck it up, forget about it, just move on. And so there's been no tending. So it took a long time for things to get the way they are. So I am not trying to give you the impression that, you do one journey, and there are practitioners that have that attitude. And I'm like, well, yeah, good for you if that's true, but often it's not true. Pay me $250 and I will journey for you and you will be healed. So I would say those kind of claims are often, maybe. People do that with plant medicine too, right? I'm going to sit with grandmother ayahuasca one time or one time of 3 or something, and then it will fix me. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, maybe not that simply. Maybe ayahuasca brings something, does a lot, but brings other things to light so that then the person can use these techniques and others to keep working on that which was not fixed or tended during that plant teacher sit. So for you, what I would like is that you operate in your life with this, almost like you have a screen up in your inner computer that you can see through, but that also is this overlay of people's trauma, their past selves interacting with the world through their current self, right? We're all kind of doing that. Some of us have worked a lot on our past traumas, others not at all. And for you as a person to notice in yourself, when do you have a reaction to something that feels like, there's something still there? And when do you notice others operating out of that part of themselves, the untended, unhealed trauma parts? Take good care.
Web of Life is an animist church located in Tucson, Arizona, which is Odom and Pascua Yaqui land and shares digital space with people around the world. We strive to share our animist understanding with all earth-honoring people and beyond. And as members of this earth community of interwoven lives, we commit to contributing to the wellness of the whole, because we all belong. If you would like to journey on your own, you can find audio opportunities to do so at weboflifeanimists.com under offerings. One-on-one support and live offerings are also available. Check our website calendar of live events for details. Thank you for your trust and attention. We're looking forward to our next encounter.